So now that I finished making all the Cars 3 related videos leading up to its release, I'm going to make a lineup of Spider-Man Homecoming related videos leading up to its release. Today I'm going to look back on the older films, comics, and just Marvel in general, and ask the question, should Spider-Man have mechanical web shooters or natural ones? Hey viewers, I love Spider-Man and have seen several movies with him. I have not, however, seen the Amazing Spider-Man series, but I have seen the original series. I've been told that the Amazing Spider-Man series isn't really all that amazing. It was rated pretty low on Rotten Tomatoes and also by several other critics and such. I hope I don't have to watch it in order to call myself a Spider-Man fan. Aside from the movies, I also read a ton of the Spider-Verse series, and I absolutely love it! I don't care that there's millions of clones and alternate timelines and all that, it's amazing! By far, my top two favorites are Superior Spider-Man and Assassin Spider-Man. Actually, make that three, because Kane is also really cool. Anyway, today we will be discussing the pros and cons to different kinds of web shooters, as I mentioned earlier, and we will decide which one is better, mostly just based on my own opinion. Everyone has their own opinion, so please don't get angry at me for thinking the way I do, because everybody's different. It's just how life works. When it comes to my automatic preference, it would have to be natural web shooters. They are the ones used in the original Spider-Man movie trilogy, and that series was wonderful. Even the third one. The third one's actually not that bad. I like the fact that when you strip away the suit and the vehicles and such, Peter can still climb walls, shoot webs, have spidey sense, have acrobatics, and just be cool. Enter the mechanical shooter fanbase. There's apparently a strong group of people back in the mechanical one, saying things like, it shows Peter is more than just his powers, and it makes it so he has to forge some of his own path to being a hero, and I get that. That makes a ton of sense. It does sound really cool for Spider-Man to have mechanical shooters that he built himself, and also somehow develops the web formula, but it's a little unrealistic. But JJ, you're saying, Marvel isn't meant to be realistic, and you are totally right. But the majority of powers and such in the Marvel Universe, or the MCU at least, is pretty down to earth and has its limits. I guess that part does kind of support the mechanical shooter idea, that he didn't get as many powers as you'd think and he had to develop some of his own, but this is a poor kid living with his aunt in New York. New York! Even if he was smart enough to make the shooters, he doesn't have the money or materials. The natural ones make a bit more sense in that aspect. Now, you may still think the mechanical ones are better, and that is totally your opinion. I just feel like the way it's typically presented, that being Peter making these in his bedroom, isn't all that accurate or possible. I feel like the natural ones make sense, since his powers are that of a spider, and if they are natural, they only run out when he has emotional issues, making a deeper and more connected plot than just, oh, I'm out of web, let me put a new cartridge into my wrist. I do, however, agree with the mechanical shooters in the way they are presented in Homecoming, being made majorly by Tony Stark with his tech and his money, and giving Spider-Man a new suit and new stuff. That makes sense realistically, but like before I mentioned, Marvel's not all that realistic. But anyway, I understand that Peter actually did make some of his own shooters prior to Tony giving him all of his tech, but just gonna kind of overlook that for the film. I'm really looking forward to it, by the way, so excited. Now you can clearly see my automatic preference is natural. And if you still think I'm insane, let's rewind and talk a little more about the mechanics and the workings of the mechanical web shooters. The way these shooters are built, according to the best of my knowledge, is that when Spidey sticks his middle two fingers onto the palm of his hand, there is a sensor under the suit that causes the fluid to fly, quickly solidifying, hardening into strands of web, which also happens to be strong enough to support Spider-Man's weight, along with cars, other people, supervillains, you name it, tons of stuff. Not all supervillains, though. Some of them break, like, really easy. Mechanical shooters also make sense, considering the fact that Tony Stark built his first suit in a cave of scraps. So who's to say that Peter couldn't build shooters in his bedroom? Yes, the shooters work. Mechanical parts and gears seem probable enough, but what about the fluid? This web fluid is so strong it supports all humans and sometimes supervillains, remember? For the web fluid to be liquid in the shooter and then solidify out of it, you would need a ton of chemicals and science lab stuff. This is where I draw the line. This is where I side with natural shooters. The natural ones don't need explaining. They come from a radioactive spider with tons of wacky abilities and powers. The webs work just like spider webs, leaving the body from a specific point, being created by the body, being able to support the body, as well as other creatures and enemies. It fits perfectly with regular spiders. Natural shooters. A part of Spider-Man's powers. The shooters are what really define his powers as spider powers. Acrobatics? Learnable. Spidey sense? Possible to train into someone. Strength? Also trainable. Wall crawling? I admit that one's a bit of a stretch, but be good at rock climbing, I guess? Anyway, my point is, I side with natural. It's my personal opinion, and everyone has their own ideas. If you like mechanical better, that's totally up to you. Honestly, however Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man does or did it, that's how I like it. That's about all. This has been JJ Prince. I hope you're just as excited for Spider-Man Homecoming as I am, and I will see you all later in the next video.